Bad Boy Buggy Garage. I'm Ashley Helton.
Hello, I'm Paul Towner.
Today I'm going to introduce you to the vehicles we're going to talk about today. This is the 72 volt recoil, the 48 volt ambush, and the 72 volt instinct.
Ash, in the year 2003 was the beginning of the Bad Boy Buggies. At that time, they implemented a totally four-wheel drive, classic model, totally electric 48 volt system.
That was a nice machine, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Today we're going to talk about how to maximize your buggy's runtime as well as battery periodic maintenance. When batteries are delivered new from the factory, they're typically delivered at 80% runtime capacity. It takes approximately 75 to 100 charge-discharge cycles to get them up to full maturity.
There's 6 things that we need to do to the batteries, Ash, to get them where they really need to be to get full capacity. Proper watering, proper cleaning. You always want to charge the batteries after each use of the buggy. Periodic testing, maintain hardware, and last, proper storage.
Paul, it's about time to water those batteries. The best water to use is distilled water, and at 88 cents a gallon, you can't beat it for cheap insurance to make sure you've got good battery performance.
Which is worse, Ash, to underwater the batteries or to overwater the batteries?
Actually, they're both harmful. If the batteries are underfilled, that exposes the battery plate to atmospheric pressure and air, which dries the plate out, causes them to sulfate. That reduces your buggy's runtime. If you overfill your batteries, that causes electrolyte to come out the battery vents, which attacks metallic components. Plus, it dilutes your sulfuric acid on the inside, which also reduces your runtime. Now, on the Instinct model, we're using 12 volt batteries. And then as I begin to slowly fill with the distilled water, one thing that I'm focusing on is make sure that I'm a ½ inch above the plates.
The Recoil IS has 9 batteries. However, 1 battery is in front of the buggy. To water this battery, we have a fill system. You want to insert the fill system plug into the snake by pressing the yellow button. Pump the bulb until you feel pressure approximately 2 to 3 times. On the batteries under the seat, simply remove the gain cap. Fill each cell approximately ½ inch above the plate.
Like the Recoil IS, the Ambush model also has a battery underneath the front cowl. In order to access the fill snake, reach up into the instrument panel to press the yellow button and make your connection. For the batteries underneath the seat, all we have to do is access the battery cell by removing the caps and filling each cell individually to approximately ½ inch above the plates. By the way, don't forget about the fill snake underneath the driver's seat.
When we charge these buggies, isn't there a difference between the 72 volt system and the 48 volt system?
Absolutely, Paul. This is the charger provided with the 72 volt vehicles that we have here. Notice that the AC power is supplied to the charger, and there's an indicator light on that indicates power on. There's also a detection light. This tells me I'm getting good energy to the charger itself. Now watch what happens when we plug the charger into the buggy. Notice we've got a charging indicator light that begins to flash. Our amp meter needle rises up to a low amount of current. Once true charger sensing takes over, we will watch the amp meter needle rise up to a much higher state. And this is an automatic battery charger where it'll turn itself off once the batteries are fully charged.
When charging the 48 volt ambush, the first step is to insert the charger handle into the buggy receptacle. You will notice a sequence of red-green lighting. When the batteries are fully charged, you should have a solid green illumination on the charger.
Paul, one thing we tell our customers is never modify the AC plug by removing that third ground prong.
Good point, Ash. In addition to that, you always want to have a dedicated 20 amp breaker for your 72 volt charger and a dedicated 15 amp breaker for your 48 volt charger.
The next thing we're going to do is we're going to neutralize the acid and possible corrosion on your battery terminals. This will help prevent high resistance connections as well as promote better buggy runtime. It'll also help your parts last longer.
We take a little baking soda and we add to approximately a quart of water in a spray bottle here. Just want to ever so spray these terminals very lightly. Then I want to pick up a nylon little bristle brush and just clean these little old terminals in the best manner.
This would be a good time to go ahead and check your terminal hardware while you're at it. Here's an example of batteries that haven't been taken care of. Notice the neutralization taking place when the corrosion begins to foam up. Make sure that you clean all traces of corrosion off from around the terminals, as this will continue to multiply if all traces aren't removed. Other things that can cause low buggy runtime are front suspension and steering that can be possibly out of alignment. Low tire pressure, parasitic electric draws, and some accessories. After the batteries have fully matured, the steps we've talked about today should give you a nice long battery lifespan. If you begin to notice a significant decrease in buggy runtime, it may be time to perform a battery discharge test. This is the 48 volt discharge machine used with the ambush model. This is the 72 volt discharge machine used with the recoil IS, and instinct model. Anytime performing a discharge test, make sure that you place the machine away from combustible materials to allow maximum coolant airflow.
Ash, this doesn't look like any 22 revolver I've ever held. What is it?
Oh, it's not. It's an infrared heat gun. We're going to use it to take the battery's temperature. As part of a discharge test, we need to also establish our finish rate. The way that we do that is to make sure that the buggy was charged properly. And we can understand that by going to the front of the charger and make sure that the indicator light tells us that the buggy was fully charged. Now, Paul, let's reset that charger. Now all we got to do is come back in 15 minutes and take our on-charge voltage and take the battery's temperature. Now it's time to apply the clamps to the 72 volt instinct battery terminals. Now if you're ever in doubt about where to plug your clamps on, just locate the charge receptacle, find the white wire and the black wire. The white wire will always be positive 72 volts. The black wire will always be negative 72 volts.
Ash, show me how this machine operates.
Well, it's just as easy as this, Paul. All we have to do is press the start-stop button. But notice our battery voltage will be indicated first. Once the machine turns on, you'll hear the cooling fan. Once the cooling fan starts, it'll give me a discharge voltage, a current. The second display will indicate the amount of time in discharge time. The third display is going to give me the lowest battery voltage. Fourth display will give me the battery voltage sensed. And then the fifth display will give me the amount of time and the number of seconds for our communication printout. Once you hear the audible alarm, it's time to take your in-discharge voltages. When you're filling out the battery discharge form, record the buggy serial number, discharge minutes, your battery date codes, all of your on-charge voltages, the battery cell temperature, and your in-discharge voltages.
If you find a deficient battery, the battery is going to have to be replaced. Recharge the batteries and retake the test.
You should notice a significant runtime improvement. If not, replace the next deficient battery. In the off-season, when you're not at the deer camp, or if you're going to have the buggy parked for 2 weeks or longer, make sure you avoid freezing temperatures. Also avoid heat sources. Recharge the buggy often. Eliminate any sources of parasitic electric draw. And don't forget to turn the run storage switch to the storage position.
Ash, let's have some fun and take this bad boy buggy around the track. Let's do it. Come on.